Hi and welcome to this latest video in a series explaining the law of attraction from eternalliberty.com. My name is Dan and I want to help you live the life that you desire. Dare to imagine. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer. In the last chapter, we saw that you create your world. All the events, people and circumstances you experience, whatever they are, you created them. We also saw that most people every day have 95% of the same thoughts they had yesterday. They live life in the past because they let their emotions be determined by the experiences life presents to them. They believe life happens to them, rather than realizing they are in control. If we are feeling down and unhappy inside, we usually seek cravings in the outer world, such as food, drinking, smoking, or even drugs to feel better and happier. In simple terms, we let our feelings be determined by what we experience in our outer world, and seek to change our experiences in the outer world to alter how we feel in our inner world. Here, the law of attraction is working all the time. If you do not like what happens, your emotions run low and you emit negative vibrations to cause similar events and circumstances to reappear over again. The law of attraction is a law of cause and effect. And remember, your subconscious mind, your autopilot, does not like change. So it reinforces your circumstances through habits and beliefs, ensuring your life experiences remain the same, good or bad. It does not have to be this way. If you wish to change your outer world and manifest all your dreams and desires, then you have to start within. Outer change, becoming part of organizations, political bodies, religious bodies, is not enough, and in fact will do very little to change your life. The essential change must take place inside yourself, in your inner world, by changing your habits and beliefs. You have the power to change your world. You just need to know how to use your imagination. This chapter looks at the power of your human imagination. In the next chapter, there is an exercise you can do to illustrate how your imagination will manifest things into your life. Do you wake up every morning and go through the same routine behaviours as you did the day before? When most people wake up, they begin the day by paying attention to their body and start looking around at their environment for clues about how they should feel. Many will immediately go onto their social media and allow their feelings to be determined by what they see. Their external environment turns on certain switches in people's minds, causing them to have thoughts determined as a result of their environment. In other words, people live their life according to their environment and not how they wish to live their life. In fact, your subconscious mind has organized everything you know so that you execute this routine as smoothly as possible. If you live like this, then you are on autopilot. Most people accept their outer world for what it is. They explain what is happening in their world on other people, events and circumstances. At worst, they blame other people for everything. They determine how they feel depending on how their outer world feels to them. If you are doing this, then you are going against the law of attraction if you wish to manifest your desires. In earlier chapters of the book, we saw that most people live in the past. We observe our outer world without realizing it is a reflection of our inner belief systems that we developed mainly in our early childhood. We choose our thoughts and feelings based on what we observe with our five senses, without realizing that our outer world is a result of our thoughts and feelings of yesterday pushed out from our inner world. We therefore observe a world created yesterday or in the past as a result of yesterday's thoughts and feelings. In doing so, we reinforce our outer world by emitting vibrations of the same thoughts and feelings as yesterday, and so the cycle continues. Experience has convinced me that I can no longer excuse myself by placing the blame on the outer world for people, events and circumstances I encounter. What we believe, we materialize in the outer world. Our outer world mirrors our internal belief system. Alter your beliefs and you can change your reality. By changing your reality, you alter your experiences of your outer world that can bring about the reality you desire. In Chapter 2, we learned that our five senses tell us what we believe, not what we observe. The 0.000001% of the sensory data that we see physically is determined by the subconscious mind based on your beliefs. That small percentage, as opposed to some other small percentage, is therefore not determined by us consciously. Luck, or even miracles, is created out of a core belief that good things will happen to you. There are countless stories out there of people who have started out with barely a penny in their pocket who went on to make vast fortunes by faking it until making it. In other words, they believed inside what they eventually manifested outside. This is a simple philosophy of convincing your subconscious mind that you have already acquired a great fortune, when in fact the evidence in your outer world is that you are broke. Expect to be lucky and you will be. Expect to be sick and you will be sick. It is that simple. If your view on life is generally poor and negative, then you will have to break through years of negative programming of your subconscious mind by reprogramming your subconscious mind with rich and positive expectations. Here's the good news. It's not as difficult as it sounds. We are going to replace old habitual thoughts with new positive thoughts through our own imagination. We are going to imagine new experiences both in terms of our five physical senses, but also the emotions you attach to them. We are also going to look at the sixth sense later in the book to help you utilize the power of your imagination. Learning to use your imagination in a positive, self-rewarding manner to manifest your desires is a relatively straightforward task. Most of us at some point in our lives, and I include myself here, have allowed our fears to cloud our judgment and thoughts, and we use our imagination to fear the worst possible outcome to our circumstances, such as being fired from a job or getting divorced. To manifest your desires simply requires us to turn this approach on its head and imagine the best possible outcome to our circumstances. This is the basis of Chapter 1, Choose Happiness Daily, as we saw earlier. Using your imagination in a positive, self-rewarding manner simply means creating new and specific thoughts on where we currently are in life to where we want to be. Changing your beliefs to manifest this change to your life is an altogether more challenging thing for most people. For example, you may easily imagine having £1 million or dollars. However, if you have a limiting belief that it is a very difficult task to accumulate this amount of money, then you will manifest this money by attracting a very difficult way for this to occur. Part 3 of the book will be devoted to this idea. However, none of the techniques are necessary. They are there merely to help you as the subconscious mind where your beliefs reside, particularly your limiting beliefs, is very powerful. For now, we will start off simple, and this begins in the next chapter with a relatively simple exercise to manifest a free cup of coffee. We will look at manifesting £1 million or dollars much later. Using the law of attraction to our advantage is about using the mind in the way it was meant to be used, which is to imagine. Imagine you are already the person you desire to be and create the life you desire. If you want to manifest a new home, say your dream home, then you must first imagine the house in a general sense with positive emotion. Then by virtue of the law of attraction, you will attract more like-for-like thoughts about your dream house that will help you make it a reality. The more your thoughts and imagination focus on creating your dream home, the more you continue to attract more thoughts and ideas about the house and its structure, size, colour, etc. You create your dream home in your mind first with your imagined thoughts, just like an architect would. The important thing to realise at this point is that it is not necessary to imagine how it will happen. You are actively discouraged to not do this. By not doing this, you are circumventing your limiting beliefs, which we need to consider more later. As you create more and more detail of your dream home with your imagination, you have more and more thoughts of the house that emit more and more frequencies into the universe. The more specific are the details you imagine of your dream home, the more specific are the frequencies of vibrations you emit out into the universe. Each time you emit a different frequency, the universe responds back with an identical frequency. It does not matter how many different frequencies your mind tunes into, the universe will always respond like for like. Imagination, thoughts, feelings and emotions play starring roles in our life experiences, but because they are invisible, we usually pay little attention to them or do nothing to understand them. Let us recap some important points from earlier chapters of the book. There are 2 necessary requirements to change the outer appearance of your physical world. Change your vibrations, your emotions, to create or effect change in your outer world. Change your beliefs, your consciousness, to change the way you observe the world. This is an opportunity to remind you that you are creating your world, and you are always in the process of creating your world. You are doing this through your thoughts, of which you have somewhere between 60 to 70,000 a day. Therefore, to create and manifest your dreams and desires into your world, we need to consciously and deliberately take control of a process that is already taking place. Remember, we saw in part 1 of the book that you create a new reality for yourself by changing your thoughts. The first type of change therefore comes about by changing your thoughts, which with the right emotion will change your vibrations. To manifest a dream or desire of something in particular, you need to imagine thoughts of already having your desire, which then emits vibrations of the right frequency into the universe, which will respond with your desire manifested. We also record here that 95% of your thoughts are habitual thoughts, which are predetermined by your consciousness. In other words, your consciousness determines 95% of what you create, and therefore what you observe in your outer world. To change your outer world, you must know your thoughts, and in particular what habitual thoughts you have. You can change your outer world to manifest a happier, wealthier and healthier place for you. Then you can change your beliefs or your consciousness. This is the second type of change above. Eventually, all your thoughts will manifest in your outer world. The moment you change your thoughts about your circumstances is the moment your circumstances start to change. However, it takes more than just positive thinking. The world cannot change until you change your conception of it. There is no point in attempting to manifest £1 million or dollars if you have a limiting belief that you are always broke. Therefore, often is the case that you will need to utilize both forms of change above to manifest your desires. You must change your thoughts for your life to change. To change your thoughts, use your imagination to experience already having what you desire. The tools and strategies in this book will show you how. So let us get to the real meat of this chapter. All things are possible with imagination. Nothing is impossible if you use your imagination. In the previous chapter, we saw that you must change your thoughts and your vibrations for your life to change. However, in practical terms, this is actually very difficult because 95% of your thoughts and vibrations are habitual and controlled by your subconscious. And your subconscious is very controlling because of all the programs stored in there you learned from a young age. By using your imagination, however, it is much easier to learn how to attract what you want and to master the techniques to the extent you can actually reprogram your subconscious until it becomes second nature. Great! How do we do this, I hear you cry? We saw in Chapter 3 that life can be described in simple terms using three aspects: being, doing, and having. We must also remember the correct order in which these words appear. Be, do, have. The mistake that society forces on us is to believe that we must first have things to then be happy. No. To manifest what you want using your imagination is simple. To have what you want, you first imagine doing what you want to do. And to do what you want, you first imagine being what you want to be. In the last section, we are reminded also that we need to change our vibrations and change our beliefs to manifest what we desire in our life. We will now bring these concepts together to enable us to understand how to manifest what we want. Firstly, use your imagination to do what you would be doing if you have what you desire. Secondly, use your imagination to be the person who has what you desire. This has the same effect of changing your vibrations and beliefs as in the previous chapter, but it is much easier to learn how to bypass your subconscious mind this way to manifest your desires. Both of these two ways to use your imagination are important. The first part is relatively easy, and we will focus on this over the next few chapters. It just requires learning some know-how and a bit of earnest practice. The next chapter will teach you the technique of applying your imagination to attract what you want through the application of a relatively simple worked example. Some people, admittedly a minority, will also find the second part above relatively easy to manage. However, due to programming of the subconscious mind at an early age by our parents, other children, and society in general, most people will struggle with the be part of manifesting what you desire. This is because of our limiting beliefs. Before we look at limiting beliefs in major detail, let us focus on the practice of actually using your imagination. Imagine what you desire. What precisely do we mean by imagining already having what you desire? To reinforce the point already made in earlier sections, your imagination is your greatest tool and ally to manifest what you desire in your life. Use your imagination to improve your reality, your beliefs, and your life. You already use your imagination to create your life, but most of us use it in a way that means the law of attraction is working against us. Say you hear about a colleague at work who is fired or been made redundant. How often would you in similar circumstances then imagine it happening to you? We do it by habit. You imagine a scene in which you hear the news while standing in the office of your boss. You feel the hurt, the pain, even the embarrassment or shame of it happening to you. You might even imagine the words to explain what happened to your spouse. Guess what? Then it actually happens to you. How did that happen? This is the same recipe for using your imagination to attract what you do want. Assume you already have that which you seek. Then let your imagination go to work. Nearly all of us have been using our imagination for as long as we have been able to. The key here, though, is to start imagining from a place of abundance and not scarcity. There is always enough for you and everybody else to go round. There is enough money, enough food, and enough love. So how do we imagine in a way that means the law of attraction is working for us? Firstly, instead of viewing the world through our 5 physical senses, we imagine what our senses would be feeling physically if we have what we want. This is generally known as visualization. We will look at visualization in more detail in part 2. Suffice to say that despite its name, visualization is more than just imagining what you see. In short, see whatever you want in your mind first, not your eyes. Let's say you are driving and want to find a parking spot in a busy city centre car park. Imagine seeing the perfect space to park the car. Feel the joy emotionally as you see the space appear, and imagine turning the steering wheel to park the car in the space. I mean, really feel in your fingers the motion of the steering wheel as if it is happening physically. What you are doing here is acting out an imaginary scene that fulfills the object of your wishes. Now say you want to find love. This is a more emotionally charged example. Most of us have experienced love in one form or another, so therefore use your imagination to act out a scene that fulfills your wish to be with someone you love and who loves you. Feel the touches, the kisses, and most important of all, feel the emotions of being in love. Really feel the kiss physically on your lips. If you want to get married, then feel the physical presence of a wedding ring on your finger. Use your imagination to believe you already have what you want. Visualize having it now. We can enact out any scene that fulfills the wishes of our desires in our mind using our imagination and the aid of 6 sources. The first 5 sources are the 5 physical senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. The 6th source is your 6th sense. When you are well practiced in this art and are more confident, then you will find there are ideas or hunches that appear from out of nowhere. These hunches are from your 6th sense to help you perform some act that will lead to what you want being manifest in your life. It could be you decide to visit someone one day. It could be completely random, but you feel an urge to do so. You may well end up meeting the person of your desires. In the next chapter, you will see how this approach, that of acting out a scene that implies the already fulfillment of your dream or wish, is used in practice. We also have the power to change the meaning of the data we receive via the 5 physical senses. We can change the meaning of what we observe to mean we are advancing towards our goals or achieving what we want. This is also done through the use of the human imagination. We can use it to change the meaning of people, events, and circumstances in our lives. The human imagination can impress new thoughts on our subconscious mind to bring about the reality we experience in the physical world through new vibrations we emit. You absolutely have the power to change an event simply by the way you think about it. To be even more specific here, you can change an experience by what you believe about it. Therefore, in its most powerful form, the human imagination can change people, events, and circumstances in our lives. Imagine who you want to be. The data each of us receives through the 5 physical senses is interpreted and given meaning by our own minds. This is what makes all of us our own unique individual. We each give events a unique meaning based on our past experiences and limiting beliefs, using programs stored in the subconscious mind. By using the human imagination to change the meaning of events, we are starting the process of replacing these programs with ones that work for you. You no longer have to comply with limiting beliefs that have held you back previously. Using your imagination, you can change the very essence of who you are. You are now at the beginning of taking responsibility for your life. You can stop blaming the world for everything, and you will stop living life as a victim. You can stop blaming this or that person for the way your life has turned out, or you can stop blaming your parents because you do not earn enough money. When you switch the meaning of events around to be positive and beneficial to you achieving your goals and desires, you become the creator of your world rather than its observer. Once you have learned how to manifest things in your life, there will be times when you can manifest what you want with very little effort seemingly on your part. Yet at other times it will feel like there is a journey to get to the point where you have to be what you want. Sometimes a tough journey. Why is this? This is because you have to change the person you are to become the person who believes they have their wishes fulfilled or has what they want. Manifesting money or wealth provides an ideal example here. Imagine manifesting either £10 or £10,000. The latter being the much larger figure seems harder or more difficult. It would be rational to expect that it will take more time to manifest the £10,000. This is due to a limiting belief. It just feels more difficult because you are leaning back onto previous experiences and not using your imagination to change your world and beliefs. The truth is that it is just as easy to imagine having £10,000 as it is to imagine having £10. Remember, you are to imagine already having the money. You do not have to imagine how it will arrive. This is another area we will cover in more detail later in the book. However, though it may be easy to imagine already having £10,000, it is another thing actually believing it. You will need to continually deny the evidence of your 5 physical senses and use the power of your imagination, which is difficult if your beliefs are fighting against you. Imagining is one thing, maintaining a belief is another. Until your old limiting beliefs are erased and replaced by new beliefs that work for you, you can think of manifesting what you want in life as going on a journey. The destination of this journey is the goal or thing you desire in your life. On this journey, you become the person who believes they already have the object of your wish. On this journey, you replace old limiting beliefs with new empowering beliefs. It is much easier than you might think. So which is more important, the destination or the journey? They are both equally important. The destination is important because you will have that which you desire. The journey is also important because you become who you want to be, a person with more empowering beliefs who has rid themselves of old limiting beliefs. There is another important thing to recognize here that we will cover in part 4 of the book. We sometimes want things that are in truth because of limiting beliefs. Take, for example, you believe you want a 4-bedroom detached house in the country because your girlfriend or boyfriend who you want to marry wants this. It is quite plausible that what you really want is a lovely partner who you can get on really well with no attachments. Instead, however, you try to manifest this large house. Often your limiting beliefs hide what you really want and who you really are. As you travel this journey we talk of above, and as these limiting beliefs are erased, you will see in a truer light who you really are and, more importantly, what you really want. It may only be your ego that wants the big house and not the genuine you. The more you become who you want to be, the more clarity you will have understanding your final destination. Another example is that you attempt to manifest £10,000 because you want to go on a round the world holiday. Your journey may lead you to understand that you are better to manifest the trip, not the £10,000, because it leads you to finding your ideal job. Once you embark on this journey, your imagination will be guided by your sixth sense. Much more on this later. So this journey I talk of becomes so worthwhile because you become who you really want to be. It is worth repeating here that in many cases, there is no real journey necessary to manifest the thing desired, or in fact the journey is so short you do not even notice it happening. I encourage you to be comfortable waiting for things to happen. Do not put a time limit on things happening either. Let's say you need £100 to pay a bill by the end of the week. So you try to use your imagination to manifest £100 by believing you already have it. This is perfectly reasonable, and some of you will be successful. However, for many it will be a struggle simply because in the act of thinking you need £100 by the end of the week, you are in fact reinforcing the lack of it. The time limit is triggering too many limiting beliefs, such as how hard money is to come by when you really need it. It is better to imagine the freedom from not having the deadline. I know from experience this works. The emotions you can imagine in this way are actually quite strong because freedom is a core desire of nearly every human. It is an intrinsic desire most of us have. For some, the hardest part about becoming who you want to be is not living each day the same as you did in the past. The moment you decide to no longer think the same way, or make the same old choices, or act the same way, create the same experience, or live by the same emotion, it is almost certainly going to feel uncomfortable. It will feel unfamiliar simply because it is. There is going to be a certain degree of uncertainty. Areas of your life will become unpredictable. This is because you do not yet fully understand the processes involved or what will happen. The moment you feel uncomfortable is the moment you have stepped into a brave new world that you are creating for yourself. Some people, once they feel uncomfortable, will want to return back to the same state of mind and body. They will go back to feeling the same way, and this feels right. Do not. If you return to the old way of doing things, you will end up with the same familiar feelings. If you can become comfortable with the unknown, then you can decide who you want to be. Some of you will say you are uncertain of the future. Well, the answer myself and many other teachers will say the best way to predict your future is to create it. That void of uncertainty you step into is the perfect place to start creating the life you desire. So what if you asked yourself, what thoughts do I want to fire inside my mind? What behaviors do I want to demonstrate? If you close your eyes and think about how you're going to act, the mere act of mentally rehearsing who you are going to be begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain. This will look like to your mind that these experiences have already occurred. Your mind will not know the difference between something that is real or something that you have mentally rehearsed. This is why sportsmen and women mentally rehearse scoring a goal or crossing the finishing line in first place. The brain will be primed in its circuitry to be no longer living in the past. Instead, it will be living in its future. Your future that you create. We started part 1 of this book looking at how changing your attitude to be positive and choosing to be happy is one of the most important choices you make each day. This act in itself requires you to use your imagination, even if you did not realize it. The human imagination is the most powerful tool you have to manifest your dreams and desires. By imagining a scene in which you already have what you desire, you will attract your wish or dream into your life. Use your imagination to feel what your 5 physical senses would feel in enacting out this scene, and also, just as importantly, the emotions you would feel. Imagine you already have this desire, and do not be concerned about how it would appear. Be comfortable waiting for things to happen, even if the immediate future feels uncertain. This simple exercise that follows in the next chapter provides valuable experience in using your imagination that will help you become more comfortable with uncertainty, so that you can move up to manifesting more challenging dreams.